What up, y'all? UFC 320 just wrapped up, and we are going to make a video on who every major winner and loser on that card should fight next. We are going to jump right into it. We're going to start with Alex Pereira. Listen, Alex Pereira is on the cusp of greatness, right? He won a belt back that he never should have lost. He's now a two-time light heavyweight champion and a middleweight champion inside of 4 years. Greatness. I want to see more of that. You know where I'm going with this. Let's get him to that third belt. Honestly, I'm not gonna say. I think yeah. Don't even. Why keep him in light heavy? This is a guy that can do something that's never been done in the time period that it's we couldn't even fathom, like think of. He reminded us this weekend. Now, listen, I want to tell you guys, he reminded us of not only why we think he is the most dominant light heavyweight right now, but potentially ever, but why he would be a challenge for a Tom Aspinall. Everybody's talking about Tom's speed. Do we really want to question Alex's speed again? Didn't we say Magomed was faster? I even said Magomed was faster. He didn't look faster in that fight. He did not look faster in that fight. So Tom Aspinall versus Alex Pereira would be insane. Greatness. I want to see greatness. I'm not gonna sit here and write off Alex because he showed that it's us that he has anti-grappling, right? He showed us that he can fight a guy with fast hands in Magomed. He showed us what to do, right? He's already walking around 230, 235 when he's not in fight mode, right? So why not? Alex versus Tom. Let's see greatness in a period of time that we've never even couldn't even fathom. And he's beaten legit top of the top guys. Magomed is like 21 1-1 or something like that, right? One loss on his record. Came in and made him look easy. Move him up to light heavy. Have him fight Tom Aspinall early 2026, and then White House, boom. Alex Pereira versus John Jones on the White House card. Why it makes sense to have that fight on the White House card? John Jones is American. Listen, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm a huge, John Jones. I already said I think is the GOAT, but I'm not a huge fan of John Jones. This is not why. I'm not some big fan that think he should, should get the Alex fight or whatever. I just think that this order makes sense. Let's get John or Tom and Alex early 2026 because they're both fighting relatively soon. Tom is going to be fighting Cyril Gane soon, and then White House card, biggest fight. Which fight is bigger, Tom versus Alex or John versus Alex? It's clearly John versus Alex. Okay, so let's get Tom fighting Alex in early 2026, and then the winner of that fight would fight John Jones on the White House card. That is how you get it done, right? And then, obviously, the light heavyweight division is going to need a title shot, and we already know what that's going to be. But let's talk about the loser of the Alex versus Magomed fight. That was Magomed Ankalaev. Let's get him Khalil Roundtree. I think that, obviously with that division, you see a Carlos Berg and Yuri getting dominant victories. Um, and I think both of these guys lost on the same card. Let's keep one of their names relevant. Light heavy doesn't have a bunch of guys anyway. You have some guys coming up, but let's keep one of these guys relevant. And then whoever loses will still be in the top six, seven. So it's not like, you still have some relevance, some names in light heavyweight in the top seven, right? And you can keep the division fun. Potential challenges come after this fight. So let's just hypothetically say Carlos Ulberg, you know, versus like a Magomed, or a Yuri versus a Magomed, or a Carlos versus a Khalil. All those fights are bangers, and you're keeping all these guys relevant. Having these two fight next, in my opinion, Khalil and Magomed. On to the next, we got Merab versus Corey SandHagen. Who did I pick? Okay, so Merab, obviously, Peter Yan. Look, Peter Yan, I think is gonna give him a much better test in this fight. I do think Peter Yan's intelligent. He downloads data. I think the fight's gonna be closer than we think. going into this fight. It's gonna be fun. I just can't see Merab losing, but this is the obvious next fight. Beyond has won like 3 in a row. He fought a guy that he didn't have to fight, Marcus McGee. This makes sense. Get Jan the next title shot, and then we'll go from there. For some reason I thought Song Yadong was booked for Sean O'Malley. I guess it's not. So with Corey, let's get him Sean. That's the fight we all want. Everybody wants that fight. You know what I'm saying? So why not make that fight? If this fight doesn't isn't made, let's say Sean does fight Song, because that's for some reason I thought that was booked already. I don't know why. But if Sean does fight Song, boom, Vinicius. The reason why I'm saying Vinicius is because listen, let's get another top talent that's on a rampage right now. That's getting victories right now. His last fight wasn't the greatest, but let's just get another guy versus Kyler Phillips. But let's get another guy in there that's next up in line, right? The new school's coming in. Corey's still very, very good, obviously. But if you get a guy like Vinicius and Oliver to fight Corey, we'll see if Vinicius is maybe ready. Like a Umar, you remember an Umar fought Corey and he got launched up the division into the top five. Vinicius could be that guy. Vinicius is on a 4-fight win streak. He looks strong, big for the division. He looks good. You know what I'm saying? So him versus Corey, I think would be fun. But listen, obviously the matchup we all want is Sean versus Corey. It makes sense. It would keep both guys relevant as Vinicius climbs up the rankings. But listen, it seems to be what we're doing these days. We saw Peter Yan fight Marcus McGee. So Vinicius versus Corey makes sense if we're not going to do Sean O'Malley versus Corey. On to the next. So we got obviously on the screen we got Yuri, Josh Emmett, Yousseff Zalal, and Khalil Roundtree. Who gets the first pick here? All right, so obviously we know who Khalil shall fight next. I already talked about that. This would keep both guys relevant. It would make light heavyweight fun as some other guys come up the rankings. Keep these guys relevant. This is a banger fight right here. Anyway, I think this would be a crazy fight. I do think Magomed would win, but still be a fun fight. Carlos versus Jiri. So again, I think that Alex should move up and fight Tom next, and then whoever wins that fight should fight John Jones on the White House card. That's how I think this should go. Then you have Jiri versus Carlos fight for the interim belt, and then or the actual light heavyweight, actual light heavyweight belt. This would be a crazy fight right here. I think that Jiri would actually beat Carlos Oberg. He would beat him. Carlos Oberg wouldn't be able to be on the back foot and running like he normally is because Yuri's just going to press, and you can counter him all you want, but he's still going to continue to move forward. So I do think that Carlos Oberg versus Jiri would be a banger fight, and I do think that should be next for the light heavyweight strap because Alex Pereira is going to move up to heavyweight and fight Tom Aspinall next after Tom Aspinall beats SandHagen, in my opinion. So Yousseff Zalal, let's get him Brendan Allen. Yeah, it makes sense. It'd move him up the rankings. We haven't seen Brendan Allen fight in a very long time anyway. So I do think that this fight would make a ton of sense for both guys. Zalal is on, I think, a 4 or 5 fight win streak. Brendan Allen, we haven't seen him in a fight in a while. He's ranked number 5 or 6, I think. Let's get to Yousseff Zalal, who is clearly a talent up the rankings. A challenge up the rankings. It would get Brendan Allen some sort of matchup. We haven't seen the guy in forever. So this is what makes sense in my opinion. On to the next, we got Josh Emmett. Let's get him Gene Lord Silva, the guy who barks on fences. Let's get him this fight. I think that both guys, Josh Emmett's on a losing streak. Gene Silva just lost. Josh Emmett is a name that would keep Gene Silva relevant. Gene Silva goes in there and maybe gets the job done. Now we're looking at Gene Silva versus maybe a Yousseff Zalal. Gene Silva versus maybe a Yair or something like that. To keep the division interesting, right? Keep the division interesting. So those are the fights that I think we should make for these 4 guys. On to the next, Ateba Gautier. Let's give him Dusko. Dusko just won his first fight in the UFC. But the reason why, Ateba's going to destroy this guy, but I want to see it because I want to see Ateba fight a grappler. Someone that's going to give him a test in the grappling department. Yeah. Tristan Vines almost took him down. I don't want to say almost took him down. He did get some double, some under, some. He did get a nasty entry in a double leg. He just couldn't finish it because he's too weak. But I do think that Dusko is a pretty good grappler, and I do think that this would be a good test for Ateba Gautier. Guys, that's all I got. It's your boy, the MMA Mechanic. Like, subscribe, share, bell icon, all of the above. Comment, and let me know what you think about my picks. Until the next time.